Did you say I'm introducing it?
Yeah. What a good
Oh,
introduction.
well, hello, people. This is episode number 69. I have no idea what we're on.
Lost count.
Yeah, but you know what? I've been forced to introduce this. So, Luke, I'm picking you to talk about your week first because it's always me that talks about mine first.
Okay, fair. Just to clarify, this isn't episode 69. We are in like the middle of the 20s. Jack is the podcast man behind the scene. 26.
No, you can't count.
Oh, I thought no, but he put up six
Jack
fingers,
has
right?
7 fingers on his hand, so when he puts one down, it means there's 6. Yeah, nice.
What? 24.
I'm baffled. Yeah, I suppose the 2 and the 4, but it could also be 26 because I said.
Why did you get? Where did you? Okay,
Where's
we're not having this
24.
debate. We're not having this debate. We know I'm an idiot. It's fine.
Yeah.
So my week. So I had my check-in with Matt on Friday, and he was reviewing my training footage, and he was bare disappointed. He was like, "This is well beyond the target RAR for this week."
Did he actually?
It was actually
mate.
disappointed. You know when your parents are like, "I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed." That's the vibe I was getting. I was like,
get off and train to failure. Then you're always
just wait. I'm telling a story, bro. Telling a story. Yeah. So basically, he was like, "If you want to train to failure, like that's absolutely fine. We just need to adjust things so you don't get buried in week 3." So we are going to be running pretty much static volume with like a little bit of escalation here and there, but nothing crazy. So things have been pulled back slightly this week and hold in for the next couple of weeks. And yeah, I'll be
say the bloody
pretty
word.
much going to failure. So the way that I'm going to structure it is don't take the 50-50 reps like in week 1. Do you know what I mean?
Not in week 1, that's fair.
Yeah, not in week 1, bro. We don't take those in week 1.
Yeah, so, and I'm not going to do it on stuff like RDLs where the risk is a bit wacky.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm finding that I'm struggling to stay tight already anyway. So I'm going to have a little bit of a play around with rest times and get all of those sets filmed next week and see if there's anything we can do.
Man's increased his load too quickly. You could get more hip flexion, bro. The Rom King's coming for you.
Oh, lactic addict loose, mate.
Take that to 60. I bet you get more Rom.
60?
What, 60 kilo?
Well, yeah, but then work it up.
Pounds.
At 60, I bet you get more Rom.
Yeah, but my hips don't travel back any further.
Bet they do.
Wait, Luke, is there a
There is on this
is there a
story.
hinge on your profile?
Yeah, I just put it. Yeah, review it. Let's get a live form review, bro.
Rom
We
police.
need to fill the air.
Live review.
We need to fill the air.
Rom police. Here we go. Right, I've got it up.
You get
Yeah,
more
so just
listeners
a
on
little
Spotify.
summary for everyone. Basically, since Dan being an absolute weapon,
Oh,
he's
it's so
now
bright.
become a range of motion weapon.
Ready?
Anyone's got poor range of motion, he's not
Luke's
happy.
Luke's
team
I'll
active
go
Rom
back
train to
more.
failure.
Pardon?
Your hips can go back more than that.
Let's see this.
That's just below knee, man. I'm
Luke's
saying
going
get better.
down. Yeah, no, Dan's right, mate. There's more than that.
There is a bit more.
Keep the load the same, man. You're not far
Okay.
off. You're not far off, but keep the load the same. Don't do what Dan suggests. Don't take a step back. Keep the load the same.
No, bro, I'm gonna
Yeah,
reset to
yeah.
2 plates and then I'll be back 20 kilos up in the next like 4 weeks.
Yeah, and then 3 months from now, it'll be back to the current weight. But with
Yeah, I'll
less
reset
reps.
to 135 because load progressed too quickly.
I
Two
sentence
reps.
you to, as Rom police, you get a sentence to staying on the same load for at least 2 weeks. Tidy that up, boy.
Nah, if
Yeah,
Luke
okay.
just sleep more, mate, and then you get it after 1 rotation.
I'll film my warm-ups as well.
Just take your straps off, man. You'll be stronger.
Yeah, film your warm-ups. There you go.
No. Bro, I can barely grip it with just straps. I need chalk as well. So
Yeah, I had to put chalk on today for my stiff legs.
I love chalk. When RDLs die, I'm gonna run stiff legs for sure. I've never run
Much
them.
more fun. Much more fun.
Yeah, fair.
Would
Right,
recommend.
that was basically my week. So
Dan, how's your week?
Mixed bag, you know. Mixed bag.
Yeah.
Where do we start? Well, dissertation is done pretty much. I think I'll actually be submitting it tonight. Yeah, in fact, I probably will after this podcast.
That's sick, bro. Genuinely, that is sick.
For anyone that's going to do a dissertation, these are my bits of advice for you because it seriously makes a difference. You'll have a supervisor, contact them early and consistently. They'll pretty much write the whole dissertation for you if you keep coming back with ideas and where you're getting stuck. Makes it so much easier. All my friends are all struggling. They've all got like their loads left to do. Some guy doesn't even have the data for his dissertation. It's due in 5 days.
Oh,
Like honestly, like next level.
That sounds like an old manufacture the data.
No, well, no, because like the data sets we need is like it's like econometrics, like it's like massive data sets testing things like regression analysis. It's pretty hard. But yeah, the earlier you start, the easier it is. So that's what I do for all my coursework, and that's why my grades are really good throughout uni. So do that, get on top of your work, people. What else is new in the week? My appetite seems to have just taken a dive.
stress, man.
I know, because I'm not stressed by the discs. I've been so on top of it the whole time. I'm not stressed at all. I got up late a couple of days and my meals are a bit backlogged, and I think that's what's done it. I had an off plan last night, and Jesus, did I feel guilty after it. It was literally like a slab, like a cookie dough cake slice that I split with my missus. And oh, mate, this little slice of cake, what's it going to be as big as? Probably like the height of my phone, but then maybe not as tall, but then like a full-on cake slice, probably this width. Must have been like 1,500 to 2K calories of like cookie dough. And oh my.
Why are you feeling guilty, bro? What are you feeling guilty for?
Oh, mate, because that's like a week of 25 more gram of carbs, mate.
Bro, but
Anyway.
you got to sit down and have a nice meal with your missus that you couldn't have
He's
had.
just not disciplined enough, Jack.
But no, yeah, it did come out. Well, basically, my scales I left at my missus' mum, which is where I am now. So I haven't been able to weigh in the past 3 mornings. So it also was a bit there. But yesterday was a good day, so the off plan was worth it. That's how it kind of works in my head. If I have a good day, a good meal around it, or if I'm drinking a good night out, then the off plan I can live with it. If not, then I feel extremely guilty, and there's no way to rectify that in my head. So, but I went to SeaWorld Birmingham yesterday.
Bro, I saw that on the story.
I saw that.
Those
Do I
things,
disclose
I love them.
what I did, what I did to prepare for it?
How
I
do we
ate
say
a
it?
special brownie.
Yeah,
Dan had a space cake.
space
Yeah.
cake.
No.
No. I was talking about the like fleshlight.
I'll get to that, Luke. Come on.
I'm
I
gonna
should
blur
have
that.
it with me. And I also had a special cigarette as well. So I was absolutely on planet war. Don't even know, different solar system.
Planet special.
So we got the train in. That was stress, but got to SeaWorld. We got there late. Our ticket entrance 4:30. But I was banging on doors, like, let us in. He was like, you've only got 40 minutes. I was like, that's fine. The penguins weren't swimming about. That was really annoying. I wanted to see them swimming about. But we got to the jellyfish. And at this point, there were annoying kids. Like, we caught up to the group ahead. And my missus was like, I can't do kids right now. So I was like, let's just stand here. And I just stood watching a jellyfish for about 5 minutes, just oscillate. And I was absolutely gone. And then we went and got a burrito from somewhere, and then that cake after. And it was a banging day. Yeah. So, and the appetite is actually back today, so maybe it worked. Although I do still have 2 meals left, and yeah, I'm gonna have to combine them, and they're massive meals as well. What else has been good in the week? I feel like that's the main points of my week. Training's been all right. Yeah. Other than that, same old, same old. The dissertation is the main thing. I've got exams next week, but they're online, so they're easy.
Shauno is here to assert dominance.
Hey, let's get him in.
If anyone hasn't viewed this, you're going to have no idea what we're talking about, but he has a massive poster that says assert dominance on the side of the wall.
Oh, Luke, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the squishy thing. Everyone knows it. You know, the squishy things. I'm going to get a photo, but basically, every guy that had one when they were young did think about putting that in it.
Oh, mate, I know exactly what you mean. Those squishy things that like you try and squeeze them and they pull out your hand.
Yeah. Let me get up my story.
John knows what exactly.
What have I come into?
Bro, this is the best
What
part
is
of the
this
podcast.
conversation?
John, did you ever, as a kid, have those like fish squishy things where like you squeeze them and they're like inside out of themselves?
Yeah,
You got- you
I've
can put it on your
never
finger.
personally had one, but I'd known of people to have said
Look at it.
items.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Exactly
They're
what that's
banging,
got.
mate.
Mate, it just slips out my hand. Watch. I don't even do anything. So I put it in my hand. It just rolls out. Absolutely nothing you can do. It survived. It's £3.50. Though. That's definitely inflation since I last had one.
Do they sell lube with that as well?
Yes, mate, for you. But yeah,
This
no,
is it's downstairs.
it was the best £3.50 I ever spent. Better than any meal deal I'll ever get. I'll tell you that for
No, I'm
free.
not having that. I'm not having that.
Yeah.
better than any meal deal.
You could fuck a meal deal so much easier.
So, John, just to summarize what you missed is Dan got stoned. I'm going back to training to failure.
Ooh, is this the static volume that you're returning to as well?
Pretty much static, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Dan, is that about SeaWorld when you
Yeah,
partook in certain recreations?
absolutely unreal. So fun. 10 out of
Is
10
it-
reckon. The
is-
jellyfish was so good.
Is it SeaWorld that's super unethical? Or is that
If I'm
That
honest,
doesn't
am I
matter.
going to be the kind of person that cares about that?
uh,
Really, the way I view this, and it's a very bad view, and it's the view I sort of take with voting as well. What am I doing for the situation? If I don't vote, my one vote doesn't make a difference. And I get that if everyone had that mindset, it'd be different. But mine is independent of everyone else's when you think of it probability wise, and also as visiting SeaWorld. We only gave them half the money because we got a 2-for-1 on a Kellogg cereal box. So
Is that actually why
I'm
you
not-
went?
minimal contribution to the problem. That's what I'm saying.
Is that actually why
You know how this went down, right? So Dan's having his post workout.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, no.
And he's like, "Oh my god, 2-for-1!"
Now we had this pre-planned, but Izzy found that you could either get a kid's bucket of KFC, which we arguably should have done, or a Kellogg cereal box, and you get 2-for-1. They're 24 quid each, by the way, for an aquarium. That's so
That's whack.
steep.
Yeah, that's crap.
Yeah.
But obviously, it was 12 quid each plus the price of the cereal box.
I'd take the KFC any day. Give me that.
Well,
Yeah, your diet right now needs a bit of KFC, bro. Only thing that can make it worse. Missed
that
up
mean?
on crossbones.
right. Who's weak? John or Jack?
John.
Unlucky John.
how's my week been?
Yeah.
Yeah, bitch.
What's
Um,
going on?
So I've just got back to Notts after returning home for a few days. I've just been relaxing, getting some family time and taking some time for myself and getting ready to adjust back into the uni life for the last term.
Perfectly.
I'm the last one.
Yeah.
Okay. My week's been all right. Knee rehab going nicely. I brought in some special sports supplements that are meant to assist with the old recovery of the tendons. So that'll be interesting. And then other than that, just kind of trucking away with coaching. Pretty much done with uni for the year. So that's where my attention's been. Pretty standard week for me.
Yeah. Fair play.
Sick.
crazy
So
to think
we've got
about
a
finishing
fair
the-
few questions for this week. So we're going to run through those and provide the usual useless banter.
Yes. So I've got all the questions here. We're going to go through the Instagram ones first.
Question master.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I am you today. So our first question, we've got a fair few from some similar people. So I'll just shout people out. So first off, shout out to Keno Fitness, who's asked us, what's more
Big up.
important to you, intensity or execution? You can't say a mix of the two. So you have to pick one. You have to say
Firstly,
intensity.
shout out to Keno. Keno listens to the podcast and he sends you messages about it. So big up yourself, Keno.
Ooh.
He's messaged me as well, bro. You're not special.
Suck yourself, Luke. I was shouting out Keno, not talking about me. Right. What was the question? Sorry, intensity or execution?
Okay, yeah. Okay, for the sake of making this flow, we're going to answer all of these in the same order. We're going to do, based off my screen, we're going to do Luke, Dan, John, me. That's the order that will go in for every question.
Cool.
So
Go,
Luke,
Luke.
take it away because you've got the slowest Wi-Fi.
Ouch. Right. Okay. So if you could only pick between intensity and execution, I would have to go for intensity because if you have perfect execution, but you're 20 reps away from failure, like nothing is going to happen. Whereas if you train like a bit of a weapon, but you train close to failure, then you're going to get a fair bit out of that.
Right. I'm going intensity if you're going muscle growth. But if you're looking at longevity, I'd argue execution because you probably are still going to grow.
Yeah, it just says important. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you are still going to grow because you're going to have some level of intensity, but you're speaking from someone who had crap execution but pretty decent intensity, my joints absolutely ruined from about a year of doing that. So, well, yeah, no. So I'm actually going to go the opposite and go execution as the ROM king.
John?
Yeah, I would have to say the same. To be honest, I agree with Dan. Having gone through quite excruciating joint pains and still am. I don't really want to end up like Ronnie Coleman at the end of the day, like despite any physique goals that I have or strength goals. I wouldn't want to end up in a wheelchair, to be honest. So I'd have to say
Got a
execution.
video of Ronnie Coleman in a wheelchair, zipping away.
No, we're not playing this. I know
Oh,
exactly what
God,
you're
that's
talking
great.
about. It's just the back of man's head.
And he just zips away in his little electronic wheelchair. It's great.
I'm at Ronnie Coleman. I'm picking intensity for the exact same reason as Luke. Long term, you just will see no progress off of pure execution. You will actually grow off of intensity. But to overcome that risk of injury, I think for the most part, it's not going to be perfect. But if you're very, very careful with your exercise selection, with your rep ranges, and your set number, I think you could circumvent to an extent some of the injury risk. So say like if your knees are fucked like mine, going balls to the wall on a goblet squat is probably going to be fine because it's a pretty shit movement and you're not really going to overload your joints. Sorry boys.
Yeah, that's two. He said that before. He said one before as well.
But say if you did like a superset, crazy high intensity of like goblet squats and lunges or Bulgarians or something, you could probably grow your quads by progressing that. And odds are, because the weights are going to be so light, that you probably won't mash your joints. So I think there's
basically summary hire Jack for coaching.
Yeah, basically. I coach Luke, I coach Dan, I coach John, I coach everyone. I coach myself. Yeah, basically.
So it was you. Not growing very much this week with like a Matt Strong mask on or something.
What?
Were you doing my check-in this week with a Matt Strong mask on?
Yeah, I'm also Tom hires me, Matt hires me, and I just incept John's brain. John thinks he comes up with a decision. I'm just in his head.
I was going to say something really mean there, but I had to restrain myself. I think if I was stoned, it would have come out.
Ooh.
I will tell you boys after the podcast.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, don't. Well,
I'll put it in the chat now.
Yeah, go on then. And we can see if we want it in the pod.
Can we just take a quick side note about the what you mentioned about quads, right? Did Jack and John, did you see what I did the other day with the leg extensions about driving up into the seatbelt?
Hello, Dan.
I believe so. You might have to refresh me a little bit.
Right, so basically I was just cueing myself to push my hips up into the seatbelt. Like, obviously, seatbelt's really tight. My hips aren't moving too much.
Yeah.
But A, have you tried that? B, what are your thoughts on it?
I haven't tried it, and I'm assuming that's just to get a bit more sensation out of your quads.
It feels savage, mate.
Yeah. What is it? Just like when you're coming to the lockout, you feel a bit more tension through the quads as well, or just throughout the whole thing?
I just felt it everywhere.
Fair.
I suppose depending on how tight you have the seatbelt as well, I think it would probably be anything but well, I mean, it would benefit you just being able to stay in that position.
Yeah, because what Dan said as well is like how much load is being sacrificed in order to get that extra sensation.
Yeah,
it's quite hard to tell because the last time I used that leg extension was probably like 6 weeks ago, but I sort of went a peg heavier and landed about where I expected to in the rep range based on sort of the progress I would have made over a month or so.
If it's a sensation
too much load was sacrificed, my quads are wrecked.
If it's like a sensation thing, you could just do it on the first set and then drop the cue for the remaining sets and then see how you get on, and then just like if you want to get a bit of sensation going from that first set, a bit of a pump, and then see kind of where you land from there.
Yeah,
I feel like as long as you're not ending up in a position like Tom Platz did his leg extension, then I think it'd be pretty calm.
Yeah.
If we're like linking that execution argument back into it.
I missed that question because I had to be transported rooms so baby could go to bed.
Just teleport, bro. But yeah, what I was saying was, what we spoke about the other day about pushing your hips into the seatbelt on a leg extension.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering what their thoughts on that was. Give it a go.
Oh, man, I'm too strong.
Can't do it, bro. lose too much
It's the
loading.
8-plate
Maybe
leg.
on high reppers, but just I need them straps. It keeps me tighter than a seat.
I
belt.
don't know how you do like 5 to 9 leg extension.
I don't anymore. I don't. I do sort of like 8 is sort of the lowest I'll go, but as a second set, not as a first set.
Okay, fair. That's fair.
So on one of my leg extension days, I do sort of like a 10 and like a 12, and then I'll do like a 12 and then an 8 roughly on the same load or something along those lines. I think it was actually a 15 and like a 10 last week. Did you see my message in the group chat, by the way?
Yeah. Let's move on to the next question. Oh, this is quite an interesting one.
Well, do you know what? Anyone that listens to this, if you ask me what I said and I like you, then I'll tell you. If I don't tell you, it's because I don't like you.
Valid. Right. Have we exhausted that question now?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Okay.
Next one is, do you ever doubt your daily actions and wonder if you're making the right choices? Ooh.
Recently, yeah. Oh, Luke, go first. Luke, go first.
Oh, man, if you want to jump in.
Yeah,
No, you
yeah.
said
I haven't
that.
got anything to say. You go.
All right, okay. Basically, recently, I've been having this moral quabble in my life that I'm not going to act on because it's too late. But I have this theory, yeah, that there's a sport that everyone's good at. And for me, I'm not built for bodybuilding. I love it, but I'm not built for it. But like, obviously, what are the odds that you find that sport? Like, what if Roger Federer never played tennis? If you get me, do you get what I mean? Like, there might have been a sport like that. Like, it could be water polo, it could be riding horses that I'm never going to know what I'd be sick at. And this all came from I've been playing 7-a-side football recently, and not this week, but the week before, I like put one top bins in like my first touch of the game, and I had an unreal game. And I wondered, because I've never played football in my life, I'm just very well coordinated, that had I have had the sufficient training, which I didn't get because I was too fat when I was young and couldn't really run fast enough to dribble, could I have been really good at football? And is there something that's better for the gym? Is it worth me taking these actions to be potentially a subpar natty bodybuilder? Which is why I don't go to the extremes, because I know I'm not, at the end of the day, I haven't got the structure to take this to the heights of like Adam Powell in natty bodybuilding. So that, to me, I actually like make the adjustments in my daily life so it's not completely that way, and I sacrifice all this enjoyment because I might potentially be good at bodybuilding. I see natty bodybuilding as like a more long-term thing. Well, the same as both bodybuildings, but like I think a lot of natties are more flexible with their life, if you get me. Like you see a lot have normal jobs, if you get me, of these like top natties. So that's kind of how I'm living my life, and like bodybuilding is like a byproduct. I'll live it to the best of my abilities. So yes, I would say I'm happy with my daily actions, or whatever the question was.
We'll
Roundabout way of answering the question.
We'll go to John and then we'll circle back. We'll go John, then me, and then circle back to Luke. Then
Could you repeat the question?
Switched it up.
Yeah, man. So, do you ever doubt your daily actions and wonder if you're making the right choices?
Oh, 100%. I think if you don't, then who the fuck are you, first of all?
Right.
But I think, especially like Dan said with bodybuilding at the minute, I mean, you boys know especially, I've been toying with this idea of going back to powerlifting, or even something. What is it that Tom Moore does? Is it hybrid, or is it?
Oh God, don't do that.
Yeah.
But these are things I've toyed with in the past. So I don't know, like, it's not on my Instagram anymore, but I did a lot of different styles of training, and I always wonder if, like, if I actually stuck to powerlifting, I could probably be on like the Rising Lifters page every week, you know. Shout out to the boy. I don't think I'm unhappy with the decisions I make. It's just more a curiosity of what could be.
Yeah, it's more like doubt, like what could be, but you're happy with staying on your course. But no matter what sort of course you take in life, you're always going to think, what if?
Yeah.
Just to clarify though, John, if you do start CrossFit, you will never appear on the podcast again. So if we don't have John back
I will berate you worse than Luke for doing RIR.
CrossFit window.
I tell you what, boys, when I was playing rugby, I was a bit of a unit. I can't lie. But
I reckon do whatever makes your heart happy, John. If you think you're going to enjoy powerlifting, go for it. I think it's a different.
Stick to one, like switch between them if you want.
it's a different thing if you're gonna be like at the pinnacle of one of them. If you're destined to be an amazing bodybuilder and you choose powerlifting, it's a bit silly in my opinion. But like if you're not destined to be like the top, for me, this is my personal opinion. If I wasn't destined to be the top of either, like I am, if I want to switch to powerlifting, I'm doing that. Like the thought crosses my mind because I do like the heavy stuff sometimes, but at the same time, my joints would say no. So
No.
yeah,
I feel like just do whatever makes sense in the moment. Like if right now powerlifting makes sense, do it, run it through, see how you feel. Maybe that's what you needed to get out of your system. Maybe it's like what you want to do for the next 3 years, and then you're like, you know what, now I want to get wham. Like I don't think it's ever too late to do something, because unless it's like Dan said, you're going to be at the pinnacle of something, then there comes a point where it's too late. But like it's never too late for you to become the best powerlifter version of yourself. You could do it 10 years from now. You can still progress your lifts, you know, you can still like make progress. So do whatever makes sense in the moment, you know.
you can always go back on it as well. You're not stuck powerlifting if you don't like it.
Yeah, just try not to like bounce like a lot of people do too much. Ideally, I guess you can if you want to, but
How
Yeah.
strong are you, John? Like, what are your PRs?
he's fucking
Uh,
strong.
I
So
think
when
I
I
saw on your Instagram your squat a while ago.
yeah, that's when I was 17. This is my like dilemma that I have because I see a lot of the things that come up now of like, people setting records for like when they were 17. Like I had a 220 deadlift at 17, 86 kilo, 195 squat, and I think it's like a 110 bench. Obviously, bench being the weakest of them all by a very large margin. But I, in my personal opinion, I feel like they're pretty decent numbers for a 17-year-old. I feel like they hold up even a little bit today, considering the amount of freaks that are about. But
The only thing I was doing at 17 was pulling myself off, not pulling a deadlift.
I had like a 3-plate squat at 15 kilos lighter, not a 3-plate squat, 3-plate deadlift. Fucking hell. And you had a 220 at like, yeah, fucking hell, man.
I'm gonna test my 1 rep maxes soon.
Are you
I'm
actually?
going on, yeah. So basically, I'm going on holiday, and it's 2 weeks. So obviously, I'm gonna go into the gym for something, and my logic is on either the first week or the last, or like the first week back, if you get me. So either deload then do it, or do it then deload for the second week of the holiday. I'm gonna go into the gym and run like upper lower or something, and for like the first rotation of that, like get used to the movements, and the second one go for the 1 rep max, or like maybe like 2 rep max or something. Just see what ballpark my strength sort of falls in
Pin
without
yourself off, mate.
without pinning myself. I've got to have the 2-plate bench in my locker now.
Yeah.
If I don't, I'll probably drown myself on that holiday.
Mate,
I
you
want
will,
a two.
you will, you
I
will.
kind of want a 2-plate bench minimum. I want the bro numbers of you're
2, 3,
officially
4.
a lifter. 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Yeah. 2, 3, 4.
I've got to have that in the locker, surely. But I
think
don't know.
the hardest one I think will be squat, because that's just
Yeah.
so weird. Like
Although my
deadlift easy.
PR for squat a while ago was like, it must have been over a year ago, it was like 120. And my legs have got to be stronger than that now. And I'm definitely heavier than that now. So
Just body it. You'll get like 200.
my knees
Yeah,
will
true.
actually snap.
Don't hit depth, bro. You can 2-plate bench, just don't hit depth easy.
Oh no, the Rom King always has to hit that.
Are you gonna pause it? You're gonna pause all of them. My 1-rep pause
Or
tempo.
do you know what? I'll be a flex. A pause deadlift halfway up.
My paused 1-rep max tempo deadlift
Oh my days.
after 3 sets of pre-exhaust, by the way.
Right. What was the question?
Do you ever doubt your actions and wonder if you're making the right choices? Luke, go, mate.
I'm gonna say a lot, but at the moment, I don't really feel that way. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'm doing the right things. It's just a matter of time.
I like that. I feel like it's always going to be a day-to-day thing. If I have like a bad day, like client leaves for whatever reason, I didn't progress that session, or just woke up feeling shit, it's easy to kind of get down on yourself. But by the same token, if you walk in to the gym, have a great session, the day just works well, you get fucking a billion clients, whatever, you feel fantastic. So I think it is something that changes day to day. I say I don't feel like I'm in the wrong place, because I'm where I feel like I want to be, and I'm determined to get better at everything that I'm doing. So if I ever have self-doubt, I just tell myself like, look, you're getting constantly better. But I still get a mad amount of self-doubt, but I think it's good. Like Josh Bridgman and Cal Raystrick say, like, if your goals don't scare you, then get some new goals, because they should scare you. I think it's a good spot to be in. Like, I didn't think I'd be where I am now, where I am. So I just remind myself that, and I'm like, think about where I could be in like 6 months, 12 months, you know.
It's wacky, isn't it? Because if we were to all like go back to ourselves a year or 2 years ago and be like, this is what you're going to look like in 2 years' time, you're like, hell yeah, bro, like bring it on. I'll be well happy with that. And now we're like, yeah, this isn't good enough.
Mate, like fucking when I started lifting, I was dead into computer science. I knew
Jack's
nothing.
doing really well with the swear words today.
Yeah,
guys.
bro, exactly. I don't know, put me in a bath or something. I don't care.
Have you eaten that onion yet?
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
like,
man, you definitely need to eat that onion. Come on.
I'd say it's got to be a full onion at this point. Full
You
Yeah,
haven't
onion.
even done the bath? Come on.
I'll bathe in an onion and then eat it or something. I don't know.
What?
But like
Soggy onion.
when I started lifting, I was 55 kilos, dead set on doing computer science. I was skinny as all hell, weak as hell, and I didn't think anyone would ever come to me for fitness and training advice. And now I'm doing it full time, looking at moving out next year with a girl that I never thought I'd have, in a physique that I never thought I'd have. So like, it's mad.
Eating hot cross buns that you never thought you'd have.
Getting told to eat onions by my mates. Yeah, it's crazy.
Do you know what's funny about that? Is Luke's still 55 kilos.
Mean. Bro, I was 74 today.
Luke, any opportunity, you know.
He
it's
had
got-
to do it. He had to do it.
Luke, what was
Yeah,
your stage?
55 Yeah, I was about to say
55
55
kilo.
stage weight.
Hey!
It genuinely was, yeah.
Fuck.
There you go.
Man, I think I'd die if I tried to get to 55 kilos.
Right. Next question. Do.
So what, we've done two
still
questions in
Kenos?
half an hour, have we?
Yeah, these are all Kenos. I'm gonna try and pick.
Enno's so good at these questions. I love his polls that he puts on his story. I
He's got
actually
some good stuff.
Yeah, they proper make me think about myself, and I'm like, oh, have I been a shit person today?
engagement king right there. Engagement king. I'm the ROM king. Looks
What do you
short,
honestly think about the new optimal style of training? Is it that much better?
Oh, Luke, go on. Are we still doing it in this order?
Can we define what we mean by optimal training?
I'm assuming
Us.
anything done by periodization, Renaissance periodization. That's what I feel like a lot of people view the new wave of training as, even though it's not really.
I view it as like when I think about optimal, I don't think RIR. I think that's a different style. I sort of go down the route of cuffs. I go down the route of like smart, like science-based, like actual rest times, like things like that, like smart exercise selection, rep range, not burying yourself with fatigue. That's how I look at smart training, because that's how I look at people in the gym and go, you're dumb because you do the opposite of that.
The thing is, like, I think to the gen pop lifting, or the people a little bit outside of our circle, which I'm assuming this person who's commented perhaps is, maybe I'm wrong. I think that a lot of people view it as like the new wave of training is like Physique Collective RP, kind of, you're either Dr. Mike or you're a bodybuilder gym bro, kind of. Like, that's the way I interpret the question, but we can all, how about we all interpret it our own ways? Let's hear what Luke has to say.
Right. So the thing with optimal is, like, if we're looking at that, what does optimal actually mean? Well, we're probably at the optimal part, somewhere in between two things. But the way the optimal seems to come across is this is the only right answer. Where in reality, we've got what's optimal for each person here. Right now, going back to powerlifting might be optimal for John. Right now, going back to less volume escalation is optimal for me, but in the future, I might want to do more volume escalation. So it's not something that is like so black and white like it comes across. And I completely understand that, like, what sells on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, and all of that, like sound bites on this is the right answer. And a lot of the time, the stuff that is spread is from people that don't actually understand what's going on. They're just hearing what somebody else is saying, and yeah, like don't really get the whole process. Whereas the people that are preaching these sort of things understand what's going on. They understand the nuances. They understand who it's going to be right for and where optimal for the individual sits.
Yeah. See, I'd say, like, yeah, along the same lines, it's on a spectrum and you sit somewhere. Like, I'm I like if you took it black and white and was like, would you prefer to train optimally or not? I'm saying optimally, but then I come back from there and I'm like, okay, well, an RDL with like a 3 second eccentric is me more optimal than the 5 rep a set of stiff leg I did today, but it was fun, so I want to do that. So there's like certain sacrifices I'm willing to make, but to me, using cuffs isn't a big deal. Taking a few minutes to set an exercise up, get the alignment right, taking a few more minutes of rest, doing a few less sets than the average person would is like okay for me. Like it's like I'm willing to do that, if you get me. So it's what you're willing to do. And I think where most of this debate comes from is the people that hate on optimal are the people that frequently don't need to train optimally because they're genetic freaks. And like people that need to seek optimal or do seek optimal are often, well, likely to be maybe the smaller lifter who is trying absolutely every avenue to come out. And that is why people like, I don't know, do you remember Kale PT? He was one of the pioneers to me of like optimal, like one of the big TikTokers. He's not massive. Like, to be honest, a few of us probably do him in size. But like people hate on him. He's like, oh, he's small, so it obviously doesn't work. So people dispute the science when they don't need to listen to it. Whereas like people like me who may need it a bit more, I'm more open to learning about, why more ROM's better or, whatever. Whereas some people are just happy to go in there and just smash out lifts. I also think it depends on your goals as well. If you're going to the gym for like physical health, have fun, maybe get a bit of a better body, cool. If you're going to compete, maybe you have to, consider the optimal side to some degree, at least. Like, depends we're just thinking training optimally. People have a coach but train stupidly, but yet your diet's optimized and everything else is optimized. So why are you hating on the training side of it? But at the end of the day, pick what's right for you, stay in your lane. If someone's going to hate on you, it's probably because they train worse than you. Like, not optimally, but like their execution is probably worse and everything like that.
If we think about it on that sense of the spectrum there, we've got, say, enjoyment on one end and maximal results on the other. So we want to be doing something which we still enjoy, which is going to provide results. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I quite enjoy making progress. So that sort of tilts me towards the more like quote unquote optimal side of things. But there are still things that I enjoy doing that might not be the best option on paper. And exactly what Dan's saying there about how like you're willing to invest more of your time to learn about things that are going to work for you if you're not one of those people that looks at a dumbbell and grows.
Yeah, I just don't think it's like, obviously, like we said earlier, intensity execution is going to be the prevailing thing over like when I think optimal, like I said, like cuffs, I think exercise selection, that sort of thing. Whereas I don't think of like intensity as optimal, if you get me. Like, yes, it is optimal, but it should be a given, if you get me. Whereas like cuffs are like the trinkets you add on. But at the same time, I also need to get this on my chest. People that hate on optimal, why are you doing a chest press? Because when weights were invented, the bench was the first thing. So surely you're being more optimal. In 100 years, cuffs are probably going to be obsolete. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't hate on this advancement if you're not going to hate on the last one. Like, it is a constant advancement, and you'll probably consider cuffs when there's fucking like mechanized cuffs or something like that. I don't know. I can't think of the future because I'm too stupid.
You want to go to the mountains and just like pick up some stones till lower back failure?
Exactly. Yeah, that's how people got big in the old days. So why not do that? Why not go lift stones in your garden and build a pyramid? No, you're not going to do that because benching is better. And the chest press is better than that, and the cuff fly is better than that, optimally. Ugh.
The whole thing of like, oh, these exercises take so long to set up as well, like, it's just bollocks. Write down how. Yes, it takes a bit of time, but if you write down how to do it, it's the same each time. It takes like 2 minutes.
I can see that, but some people just do not want to faff with cuffs, and I understand that. Like, realistically, it is easier to get on a pec fly, but it's like, again, like, what's their goal? Do they want to be in the gym for an hour, or do they not mind being there for 2 hours?
Yeah, for those people that don't want to faff with cuffs, they would rather make the trade-off of potentially a lesser exercise to save time. So for them, that's optimal. But people who go around mindlessly hating, we're not talking about people who don't, follow optimal training. That's fine. If you don't want to follow optimal training, fine. Or like the newer wave of training, whatever you want to call it. But if you are just blatantly hating on a piece of equipment because you think that everyone that uses it is stupid, then you are wasting your own time because there would have been people, like Dan said, that hate on the pieces of equipment that you use. There was a time when the bench press didn't exist. There were probably people in the bronze era of bodybuilding who were like, who is George Hackenschmidt? Why are you benching? What is this new way of crap? Go back to shoulder press only. And then, you know, now it's like, oh, bench press, you've got to be bench pressing. Why are you using a cable stack? You know, there's always something that gets hated. Smith machine used to be hated on. Now it's widely accepted. Like, so just
I feel like having an ideology behind what is optimal and what isn't would kind of lead you down the road of eventually being not optimal, because there will be something that does vary. And that's why, sorry, it's just something I've been thinking about for a while, but it's like why we accept 95% or why we have p-value of 0.05%, because there is going to be something that's different with everyone's training and what they enjoy and whatever fits into their time schedule. Like time schedule, like you were saying, like hopping on a pec fly, for that individual may actually be optimal because it saves them time in the gym, and then they can go home to their family and spend time with their kids and whatever else they choose to do in their free time, smoke meth, like whatever they want. But I feel it's so variable per person, and to say someone's doing one thing that's not optimal, you should just shut up.
Yeah, it really does just come
Looking
back
at like
to
some sort of mythical human being that has all of their meals prepared for them, doesn't have any family to deal with, basically lives inside of a research paper, then yeah, we probably got a pretty good idea of what's optimal. But
I'd say
nobody does that.
I'd say like it all is person dependent. Like it's probably the most person dependent thing. Like
It depends.
how much time do you have? Can you be asked? Do you care about the research? Do you want to have fun? What is fun to you? So many different things. Just literally do what makes you happy and just do it well. That's what I'd say. Doesn't matter what you pick at the end of the day. Like exercise selection is probably one of the less important things, so long as you're just like hitting your back from all angles as well. It doesn't matter if you're doing a single arm pull down or a vertical lat pull down. Like do it, progress it, get strong, intensity. Job's a good one.
Yeah.
But by the way, John, you traumatized me bringing up p-values because that is pretty much half my dissertation. I want to cry.
One of the things
FPSU's
that really
SPSS.
jars me is when
Bro.
people talk about optimal, like they hate it, but then they go and do those exercises. I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna do a little promotion for me and Luke. This is where genuinely finding a coach is going to be useful, because there's a lot of information out there. It can be very overwhelming. And if you know where your goals lie, but you don't know really how to train for your goals in terms of like, all I know is I want to build muscle. I've got this much time. What's the best way to get there? That's where bringing in someone is going to be useful, like myself, Luke, anyone else. It doesn't have to be us two, just because we're coaches.
Don't
You
go
hear
to
about
us.
coaching
You
from
suck.
us. Yeah, sorry, we're the only two coaches. It's a 50-50, mate. But
Yeah,
like,
Will.
so like for some of our clients, we'll have really, really serious clients, and for them, that's going to skew much closer to optimal. It's going to skew much closer towards, okay, this is probably better to make progress. Whereas you'll bring in someone who's like Sally, who's 55, who wants to lose weight for her daughter's wedding or something. And then it's just like, okay, doing exercises that she can enjoy to give her some progression, you know, and then it's going to skew more towards what's optimal for her, which is probably slightly or very different to what's skewed towards like a 20-year-old bodybuilder who wants to go enhanced in the next 2 years and compete or something, you know?
Could we start a hashtag that's hashtag like optimal for me, or
Yeah.
something along those lines?
Hashtag would Sally do it?
Yeah.
Sally would get.
Can we just go back to that? Do we not think 55 is a bit young to have a daughter that's getting married?
No.
Nah,
No?
man.
That's such a what if she got preggers at like 20?
Preggers.
Popped it out at 23. That daughter is now 22.
Yeah, she got preggers at
That's
18, and then the daughter's got preggers at 18 again. And now she's being
Yeah,
forced to get married.
chances is if they
she's
get preggers
dating an
at
older
18
man.
the first time, then the daughter's probably getting married pretty young.
She's dating an older man, and he's already got kids. He's 80, and he's got a 40-year-old, and it's a little bit strange, but it works.
She's trying to cash in on that inheritance.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
The divorce
Should we-
settlement.
Right.
Should we move on to the
Next question. Yeah, we were.
I'm really
waffling
sorry
about
for the
women.
tangent. That kind of takes us on to a question that I got from my client Connor the other week. Apologies that we're only just going through this now, but do you think science-based lifting ever goes too far?
Yeah, 100%.
We're getting faces of it. Yeah, for
100%.
sure. Like two things that really stick out to me is like a big one is dismissing anecdotal evidence. like what works for people that are actually doing this thing, because there aren't that many studies on people that train the way we do. Especially like enhanced bodybuilders and that sort of thing. Like that's not something you're going to find very well in literature. So actually getting a good idea like from coaches what works for them is probably going to be pretty damn useful. And another one is it goes back to what we were saying earlier, being so focused on execution that you're literally lifting the same weight for like months in a row. Like, yes, execution is important, but if you're not actually progressing the mechanical tension you're providing, like, nice, that's probably why you look the same.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, when they get too into what's optimal, and I've seen it happen to people close to me, they'll wake up, they'll be like, fuck, last night was, I swore, own it, right? They'll be like, oh, last night was 7 hours sleep instead of 8. There's no way I can go into today's session because I'm not going to progress. All I'm going to do is accumulate fatigue. That's not going to happen. Or, they'll be like, their intra workout is like a couple grams short and they're like, oh, I'm not going to be making the most of MPS.
Might as well not even train.
Yeah, no, genuinely, like I've seen people get to that point and it's like, or someone will be like, I've had 2 sessions that went downhill, or like I stalled. I feel great. Should I deload? It's like, if you take what's best on paper too far, you're not going to enjoy the process, for one, most likely. And for 2, you're going to probably end up holding yourself back on other variables that you're not thinking about, or that you've not placed enough value on because it's not been specifically brought up by a research paper. Like, just because a research paper gives you an idea of where to look, it doesn't tell you only where to look. Like a research paper telling you, length and range is fantastic doesn't mean that length and range is the only thing to focus on. It means that maybe we should put a bit more attention there. But for now, we don't have conclusive proof that that's all we should be doing, if that makes sense. So
Defo does go too far, though, in my opinion, because I look at some of Ben Yanes' posts. I'm like, oh, mate, you're just not doing that exercise every week. You change your exercise every week because something's new and optimal. Suddenly you're doing like a pull across, lat pull down, or rear delt row or whatever. And
yeah, to be fair,
next week you've got a completely new back. Like, I'm seeing about 20 different exercises from you, and I get demonstrating it, but they're actual like working sets. You can tell. Like, so some things do go too far. Like, you will never catch me turning my body so I can actually row across like that. No, I'm doing it. The most I'll do is like a step back hammer strength row, or a single arm pull down, or maybe a cuff pullover. Like, I will not go too far, because I feel like at that end you are sacrificing too much enjoyment for a minimal optimal gain.
Yeah, if you hate every single set that you're doing, like, what's
when I did RIR,
do you know what I mean? And something that I think's when I was at the thing last Saturday with Paul and James, something really interesting that they mentioned, the bicep study they did with like lengthen versus shorten range, is something else you've got to consider. There is it just the fact that the shorten range in that movement isn't very taxed? Because like the top of a preacher curl, what happens? Your arm starts to come over against. Let's try again. Your arm is basically just straight up, which means the load isn't going through the bicep anymore. So like, it might just be that it got less total challenge. And in fact, the shorten range might still be almost as important. And it's not like it's a major difference in terms of.
That's a good point that Luke's trying to say, is like, research will have flaws. It's a good indicator of where to look. But like he's pointed out with that bicep study, even the guys that have run it themselves have been like, okay, it shows this, but maybe we didn't account for this. And the common kind of retaliation to a lot of research is, who was the study performed on? And a lot of people say, well, if it was people like me, I wouldn't go and join a study because I care too much about my own progress. I wouldn't risk 8 weeks of changing up my training to then not make progress. Like Finn and Reese say all the time, they're like, if you put me in a study, I'd either half-ass it or not want to be there. So you're probably not going to get great results off me. So I can't really apply your research to me.
That, and half of the reliable studies are going to use like people that don't train very often, so they're not going to know how to train well. And there's going to be so many variables. There's problems, like with my dissertation, there's problems with every paper, problems with my paper. Like, you're not going to get the perfect, most comprehensive view, which is why you have to make either sum up for yourself by reading loads, which you're not going to want to do, or get a coach, or trial and error, or combination of the above.
Yeah,
I reckon
if you've got
we've talked about science-based lifting a lot. Some people could be quite pissed off by now.
In summary, take a little bit of everything. Don't take anything too far. Don't take science-based lifting too far, but don't go in the opposite direction either and be like, just eat and lift, bruh, because you will make no progress unless you're a genetic god, in which case you still could be making more.
Bosch.
Next question.
Oh,
Rank your top 3 energy drinks and then pre-workouts.
We've done this.
Okay, we'll just do pre-workouts.
yeah, we did energy drinks. Dan, I just want to say I tried one of those Audi ones, and they're actually pretty good, man.
Oh, but yeah, anyone that's still listening to us waffle on, right? Audi White Monster. It is like 20 calories, but if you can afford it, get it, because it is like 75p, and the white one tastes exactly, well, pretty much like the normal White Monster. Like, you're not sacrificing any flavor. The red one tastes like, extra strawberry chewing gum. So I don't really like that. And the grape one is a really accurate grape flavor, but I'm not a grape man myself. But for 75p, the grape and the white one are well worth it, in my opinion. So I rate that.
Pre-workouts, I would have to say Mega Pump is pretty damn good. Although I like to call it Mega Clump because it is pretty clumpy, but it's nice.
I think my favorite I've ever used is DFib V2. I've yet to use the D3 because I never buy it, but DFib is such a good all-rounder.
Is that the one we had at Tom's?
Yeah, I think it was.
Bro,
Yeah,
I was itching off my face on that.
But it's such a good all-rounder, and the flavors are all unreal as well. They're so good. Jelly bean flavor is so good.
And I like the Pumpish one. To be honest, I don't really use pre-workouts.
I don't use it much. I've been using it quite a bit
once
recently.
every couple of weeks.
I've been using it a bit recently. I find Monsters don't work for pre for me. They make me more tired. I have them on rest days. I sleep better. But no, I'd say, what else have I had? I've had MV pre. Don't know. I reckon it's all right, but I don't reckon it's like people go, oh, it's the GOAT. It's this every pre.
I love MV pre. Nah, I'm not having that.
Right. Well, I'll say it's good, but I'm saying DFib's still top for me. I've had Conviction. It's all right. Short panel. And then I'd say I've had Superhuman Supreme before. That's pretty good. I actually rate that. Yeah. But DFib's my goat. I want V3. Yeah.
John?
I think for Stim, it's kind of one of the more craziest Stim products out there, but I don't know if you boys have had Heroline before.
Oh, yeah.
It's got DMAA and two
way.
forms of your hen binder. You do feel like you become an animal, which is always great.
Bro, that sounds like an anxiety attack.
Yeah, it actually gave my partner an anxiety
I've
attack.
had that off a pre before. I've had it really bad.
Favorite non-stim
the first day I
is
ever took
Komodo pump.
Yohimbine, I was like laser focus. Sorry,
I took a thing called Wobbs before, but after an
Oh,
exam.
yeah, I've heard about that.
And oh my God, I literally almost had, like, I was doing bent over rows and I thought I was going to have a panic attack and like collapse. Like, first time, I think it was probably the first time I ever had like a lot of pre, probably like a double scoop, dry scoops. Not a good idea. Anyway, John continued. Luke cut you off and I continued.
No, that's all good. And just non-stim, I think Komodo pump was a really good one. If you boys ever got to try it.
Fair play.
MV
pre?
MV pre.
MV pre and MV pre.
And I've already forgotten the name of it. Strom's Stimmy Max. There you go. Easy.
Yeah.
Stimmy Max, MV pre, and J pre 2.0. It tastes horrid, but you know that it's hard. I had it towards the tail end of like one of the, like, after getting like, I'd been dieting for like 6 months straight. I was crazy lean. I felt horrid and I lived off it every single day and I felt like Superman. It was great.
Oh yeah. How many more questions have we got? Because we've been
I reckon one more because I've got to shoot soon.
All right.
Make it a good one.
Oh my God.
No pressure.
Bro, you're supposed to be hosting this. Come on.
Me? You put a lot of pressure on me now. Last question. Jeez, do you want a long one or
Do
a
you feel
short
how
one?
Fuad feels when
I want the most. Oh, Oh, what's
Do you
the
want an
controversial one?
Avant
Have we had a Dan rant this episode so
Ooh,
far?
that is a shout. I feel like we've had little Dan rants within certain things.
All right, how about
There's always
Fuck.
more.
marry, kill? I repeat, fuck, marry, kill. Fuck, marry, kill. So if you had to fuck, marry, or kill,
I only just got what he was doing. He's doing this on purpose, man.
Right, I'm sorry. Side note, right, you've got an onion. There has got to be another one because no one else has really swore this episode. You are just taking
John's
the
done
back.
two. I think I might have done one.
I think
don't know
editing
when it
this
was.
podcast is fee enough, honestly.
Nah, there's got to be something though. The
Have you
Onion's
been
got
editing
that.
the other ones?
Yeah, I cut out the start bit and the end bit.
I want to see the
No,
Onion.
as in when have you been editing out the swears?
No.
So I've been counting them for the last like 6 weeks for no reason.
6 weeks has been two,
Been
mate.
two, Luke.
It's been two, and I know it's been two.
Right, the Onion's got to happen this week, Jack. The Onion's got to happen.
Yeah.
Alright,
I want to
fine,
see
fine.
Chow half an onion raw.
All right.
No, he's doing it on the podcast.
All right,
surely.
okay, that's what we're going to intro with
Oh,
next week,
calm. Yeah,
everyone.
that's fine. I
Watch it.
literally
Yeah.
did the other day.
Now, intro
Oh.
half an onion and then sit there and you can't have anything else for the rest of the podcast.
Well, anyway, the question: fuck, marry, kill, perform. Okay, listen, perform, grenade. This is. I love that they've asked this question. It's so obvious which one we're gonna kill. My protein.
Right, I'm taking it. Here we go. Here we go.
Bro, my protein is so expensive now. For a kilo, right? Miriam went to order some the other day. For a kilo, £40.
Yeah, but then you get like
What?
45% off.
No, but it was genuinely £40 when she tried to order it. Like it wasn't even reduced.
Right, so we're clearly killing my protein. I'm going
Yeah.
to say for the consistency, you've got to marry, perform. They're there for you when you need them. And because Grenade is like your guilty pleasure protein bar, you want a little affair with them. So
God damn, he's done that so quick.
Unanimous decision
Yeah,
from
all right,
the
fair.
boys.
All right.
cheers out. I
That
like
was,
that.
a good, that was a good question. Next time, can we get one that's a little bit more difficult?
Do you want a longer question? 'Cause I
Yeah,
got
go
a
on,
longer
last
one.
one.
Is it okay to be selfish sometimes?
Yes.
Absolutely.
You get further when you're selfish. It's the sad truth.
Yeah, that's so
You've
true.
got to be out for yourself, but just do it in a way that's tactical where other people don't care.
Damn, that's so true. I never thought.
I tell you what, I'm the king of putting myself first when I need to. But there is a time and a place where you got to put others first when they matter in your life.
Nah.
Okay? Significant others, friends when they're going through it. But other than
Chloe's
that,
definitely going to dump you, bro.
huh?
Yeah,
Who
bro.
say that, Luke? Miriam's gonna dump you because you're 5'0". How's that?
She's shorter than me.
Yeah.
Where
not
has
by
this
much, mate.
vendetta come about Luke's height? Where has this come from?
That was nah. Have you seen Luke?
Because Dan knows I've got more tissue than him, so he can't say I'm small.
More tissue to dry the tears, mate. Fucking
Yeah,
hell.
bro.
Yeah,
I can't
I'll always
believe
know that
you
I'm
roasted
6
me
foot
about
though,
the
Luke.
stepladder,
I'll
man.
always know I'm 6 foot and I can reach that top shelf.
Oh yeah. No,
Have
but
you seen
in all
Luke's top
seriousness,
shelf?
being selfish is really,
He
really
hasn't.
important because, like Jack, I'm sure you have this all the time. Clients struggling when it comes to.
Oh, they don't struggle.
He's like,
I
no,
don't
my
have clients
clients don't
struggling,
struggle at all, bro.
mate. My clients don't struggle. They pay me not to struggle. I'm kidding.
No, but like with
slowly
social
here or in
occasions
life?
and that sort of thing, they're like, oh, I'm not sure what to have. Like my mum's making this, or we're going out here, and I don't want to like have something different. And like, I understand it's really, really difficult. I was in that position, but if we look at this somewhat objectively, does it impact anyone else's day what you eat? Like outside of a few specific circumstances, no, not really. And if you're happier about what you're doing, chances are you're going to be more involved in what's going on. You're going to have a better experience. That's going to make the people around you have a better experience. Like being agreeable with what other people want you to do and never putting yourself first is a great way to get nowhere.
Yeah, when you're talking about like gym and like food specifically, like A, people adjust to it, and B, the people that don't adjust to it, you probably don't want in your life anyway. The people that have taken the piss out of my account, posing routines, whatever, are the people I couldn't give a if they got hit by a car. Like I do not care because I'm that. Like, they're just you're gonna if people are unnecessarily nasty to you or can't accommodate you, so long as you're not being a penis about being selfish. if you're going, no, I'm going to do this, it's best for me, you know, people are going to have a problem with it. But if you're going to go, oh no, sorry, I'm not going to eat a meal because, you know, I want to stay on my diet or whatever, you know, people are going to accommodate, and they're going to become like, they're going to know that you're like that. Like my mum obviously now knows that I'm not going to eat her meal when I go home and see her, or she, like, everyone around me knows that. They know I eat 5 meals a day. They know I try and eat spaced apart. And the friends that have stayed in my life are the people that don't care what I do as long as I'm happy. And like, at the end of the day, that's like, people are going to be okay with you being selfish. Like I said, if you're not being a dick about it and you're happy and they can see you're happy and they're actually your friends. And I think that goes for most things in life. As long as you're not really like disadvantaging the people around you to like an extreme circumstance, doing the thing that's best for you is most likely going to be like the right thing to do, bar certain situations like someone else's birthday, like mum's birthday. Go and have an off plan if you're in a diet. Someone's wedding, have drinks, you know, something like that. Like there are circumstances where you don't put yourself first, but that's like socially, you'll know when it's time to do that. But when it's like something that isn't like a socially big thing or whatever in your life, like you can put yourself first.
If you've got somebody that genuinely cares about you as well, they're going to say, yeah, do it. Like, I understand this is important to you. You just got to have that conversation with them and
I
say,
find they actually help you as well. Like Izzy helps me. Like she will sometimes go and do a meal for me, or like she'll like be understanding, like, do you want to go, like say we've got to go to hers before we go back to mine, eat post workout, she'll go, do you want to stop there first and have your post workout, because I get grumpy if I haven't eaten. Things like that. I get grumpy all the time, but I get grumpy if I haven't eaten. And the people, they'll care for you. Like when I go home, my mum's like, do you need me to pick you up some chicken? Because she knows I always eat chicken. Or is there anything from the shop, if you get me? Like they will start catering to you the same way someone would cater for you if you were like a quote unquote normal person eating their meal. Do you want a portion? Like they'll adjust to your lifestyle and they'll help you if they're like someone that's meant to be in your life.
Yeah,
what
like,
would be selfish is saying like, right, I'm eating chicken and rice, so you've all got to eat chicken and rice as well.
Yeah.
Like what?
As long as it's not negatively affecting someone else, then if people get annoyed, then they're the ones being the arsehole.
yeah, just explain your goals to the people around you and why you're doing it. Like I had a client be like, oh, I'm on a diet and my nan's around and she keeps cooking me food. And it was to the point where like it was actually starting to disrupt his nutrition. So I said, look, it's up to you. Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to put the diet on hold until she's gone? Do you want to keep going? And he was like, well, for me, I want to keep dieting. And I was like, okay. So explain that to your nan. Like explain, okay, here's why I'm dieting. Here's what it means to me. You know, this is a temporary phase. This is something that we can overcome. I don't have to stop eating your meals, but the frequency that I'm doing it, I need to reduce. And it's the same for like, if you're going out drinking with mates, you know, you can always swap what you're drinking for whatever suits you or not drink. And if those people aren't happy with that, then explain it to them. If they still don't get it, then bin them off. They're not worth it. And like, ultimately just think about it, what can I do to stay more on plan? What are the short-term effects of that? What are the long-term effects of that? Will I look back in a year, in a few months and regret it? Like I've been on nights out where I've not drunk. I might have felt a little bit awkward at the start, but now I look back and I'm glad that I did it. I'm glad that I went and like I didn't take a step away from my goals. There's been times where it's someone's birthday and like it's going to be a long one, or like it's a special event. Of course, I'm going to go out and get drunk. That's probably put my goals on hold, but now I'm glad that I have those memories too. So think about it long term and short term and just explain to the people around you.
Yeah, on that subject, Luke, I feel bad for not drinking at your birthday. So next one, you have my word, I will get absolutely hammered with you. So have that, because I felt bad. So I didn't even go out because I was just passing through on a walk. So
Bro, I wouldn't have remembered if you'd have drunk anyway.
oh, well, Luke was absolutely nice.
Bro,
Actually,
I was wasted.
on the subject.
Now Luke's got that memory.
I think it's probably the hardest bit to navigate for like someone our age, like maybe going to uni. Like,
Yeah.
I joined rugby this year because a lot of my friends didn't do a placement, so they're not at uni this year. So I had to make new friends. So I knew a few people in rugby. So I joined, didn't play or anything because that would impact my goals. I didn't want to get an injury or anything. But people know rugby; they know it's a big drinking culture, and they were some of them were absolute knobs about it, like really bad, to the point where like they would literally kick off every week if I said I wasn't drinking and things like that. Like it was literally some of them. One guy, I'm going to name drop him, Frank. He's an absolute weapon. No one in rugby even likes Frank. I hate this guy. I actually hate him.
Hashtag fuck
He
Frank.
had a problem with it. And ultimately, I stopped going because of him, because he had such a problem. I was like, this isn't worth my time. But there are people out like in rugby that I still have contact with. They didn't have a problem with me not playing, not doing anything drinking related, but I'd still do what I could, because they like to crap on freshers a lot, which technically I was a rugby fresher, even though I'm a final year. Like, but at the end of the day, my current friends, like, it might take some time to find the people that are okay with it, but now I have better friends that are okay with it, and I have the friends from rugby that were okay with it. And on a side note, I also think when people do have a problem with things, it's often at the start when you start making progress, and when people see you visibly lost some weight, or you visibly got bigger, or they see for after a long time you're still sticking onto this plan, they have a bit more respect for it, and then they'll start accommodating you. But right at the start, when it's a sudden change that they might not have gone through in their life, they might be a bit resentful towards it.
Yeah, because they're seeing like, oh, this person's doing this stuff and it's actually working. So it makes sense why they want to carry on, keep doing it. Like Frank is a great example of being selfish and impacting other people.
Do you know what's
Like,
worse?
it's
Frank
actually
is an
affected.
absolute genetic freak. Like his muscle insertion, they're stupid, and that also really annoys me.
Does he bodybuild?
No, he just like gym bro sort of thing.
See,
Rugby gym bro.
that's one of the mental things as well. Like there's people out there that look crazy and they don't care about like actually building muscle to the extent we do. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, cheers, bro. Yeah. Give me your parents.
That's because they've always been muscular, so they don't have the infinite insecurity that a lot of bodybuilders have. I feel like genuinely that does play a little bit of a role. Like when you've grown up skinny or fat and you're not happy with your physique, and then you start making progress, you kind of fall into that trap of wanting it infinitely.
Dan,
Or, like,
what are you doing?
I don't know,
bodybuilders
mate.
do.
I'm really hungry. I've got 2 meals left. and
Mate, if you need to
it's
go,
hour.
just go. It's calm.
Yeah,
No,
let's end
because
this.
we're near the end. We're near the end. So I'll
Oh,
stay.
wait.
John, you've just been proper stroking your beard. Any insightful wisdom?
I think if people are gonna judge you for what you want to do, just bin them off, because we don't need no negative energy around here.
Drain out bad energy, as Juice WRLD said. Yeah,
Exactly what John said, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, John summarized my absolute waffle.
Be selfish, boys, right? I'm gonna go and be selfish. I'm gonna go and
Yeah,
eat my
all the
meal.
time.
Yeah,
Dan's gonna
same.
go and eat 2 meals.
Yeah,
Jack's
sorry.
just found some hot cross buns. He's gonna put some peanut butter on them. He's gonna eat the last bit of jam from the fridge, so nobody else can have some jam because he's selfish. And John is gonna go downstairs, assert dominance, and be done with the day.
I'm going to go eat
Easy.
2 bagels and 2 wraps and 2 portions worth of chicken, and the wraps.
Make
have
them all
cheese.
bagels. Just make them all bagels, mate. Just
I
save it.
don't have enough bagels, so I brought enough for tomorrow. So it's
Swap your
wraps and
bagels for jam. Easy
Yeah,
peasy.
my nan does that because she knows I like bagels. She like, do you want me to get you some bagels?
And then you
There
tell
you
her
go,
no.
your nan's accommodating. Look at that.
Bro,
Oh,
my nan's a G.
Right, I am going to go though because I am really hungry.
That's all good. Catch you later, boys. Hope you
See you
enjoyed this
later.
episode, people. And that is all for today. All
bye,
right.
everyone.
That was robotic.